everyone. This podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hey, how's it going, people? I am David Bell.
I am Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Super Troopers 2.
Mm-hmm.
Soup Troop?
Super Toopers.
They've been waiting for a second chance. Waiting for their country to need them again. That time is meow.
What do you guys give me if I kill that bird? Farver, that's a bald eagle. Get a wing, Baldy! Yeah! Guys, what do I win?
A one-way ticket to hell.
They should have called it that.
Yeah, there was a lot of jokes like that in the film, so I'm surprised that they missed their opportunity.
Yeah. All right. I think I know how you liked this, Tom, but I feel like you know how I liked this as well. Because it's our first comedy.
Yeah.
And I could hear you laughing.
Yeah.
And I was also laughing. What did you think?
I liked it. It's if you like any of Broken Lizard's movies, or if you've seen any of them before, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, this feels like one of those situations where you either like them or you don't.
Right.
It's Broken Lizard. You've either laughed at their stupid movies or you don't laugh at them. And I have enjoyed like every goddamn Broken Lizard movie. Yeah,
pretty much. Like Club Dread, I think is my least favorite, but
I
Bill
go back and forth on
Paxton
that.
puts it over, and that he's so fucking funny in that movie. Coconut Pete.
That was so good. Slam and Salmon.
Slam and Salmon's excellent.
Fucking Beer Fest.
But yeah, this was like they raised money on Indiegogo to make this sequel.
Yeah,
they hadn't made a film in like 8 years.
Yeah, it'd been a minute.
So they're all noticeably older.
Yeah.
Except weirdly for Farva.
Yeah,
Farva looks the same.
I want to say Brian Cox.
Brian Cox
has looked the same in the
right. Brian
like
Cox has looked
years.
the same since
He
since
looks
the
like,
Ring.
Yeah, he looks like Brian. He looks like himself in fucking like The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Right. It's
Maybe
just
slightly older.
I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's weird to say. I was about to say it's not much of a movie, but like, what does that even mean?
Plot wise, it's very thin on
right.
plot.
There's almost no. It's a series of scenes, really.
It's almost exactly the plot of the first movie, which is someone's doing stuff with drugs. They find a bunch of smuggled
the local
drugs.
police force are actually secret drug smugglers.
Yeah, I wanna say the first movie actually had more of a plot.
Yes. I think they realized after 6 or 7 movies, however much they've done, that it really doesn't matter.
It sort of mattered.
Like you need enough of a storyline to like get you in and out of these funny scenes, but that's really all you need.
Right. I mean, I did feel like something was missing from this plot wise. Like I got excited. There's a part where they find a bunch of cell phones and they all go to the same number. And I thought like, oh, the plot thickens. This is going to be like some weird reason that this happened, that they all have the same number. It's going to be some bigger thing than smuggling. Not really. It's just that later comes in when they have to track the cell phones.
Yeah.
So it's weird saying that I was disappointed in the plot, but I was kind of disappointed in the plot.
Yeah, there's not really much.
That said, I found it hilarious.
It was a really funny
It was
movie.
real dumb, real funny.
There's that opening sequence.
Yeah, I was about to say the opening's fucking great because the opening is really fucking disorienting.
Yeah, it's great. It starts out with a tour bus driven by Clifton Collins, right? Who is that?
Well, one of them was Stifler.
Well, the Stifler was the highway patrolman. It was
right. Sorry,
Stifler and
Clifton,
Damon Wayans.
Yeah, the guy from shit. It's the guy from the sequel to American Psycho. That's where I know him
It was
from.
Clifton Collins Jr.
Right.
He's also
Rules
on
of Attraction.
Yeah, and he's also on Westworld now.
Right, he is. Yeah, he's a good actor.
I'm pretty sure that was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
He's not. He's hard. Oh, okay, here it is. It's under upcoming projects. He's a very distinct looking man.
Yeah.
So it's a tour bus being driven by Clifton Collins Jr. Gets pulled over by Sean William Scott, and he boards the bus and then finds the original Super Troopers are all playing very badly playing instruments in the back. Like the drumming high. Was especially egregious.
And what are they called? Crispy Bacon, the band?
Cracklin' Bacon or something. And and Stifler delivers like this really rapid, clunky piece of exposition, but it's intentionally so.
Yeah, which they've done in the past.
Yeah. And it's like they've started this band, and then he radios his partner to come on the bus, and it's Damon Wayans Jr. And then they are both huge fans of this band, and they're trying to like get into the band.
And it's a really like over the top silly moment.
Yeah, and then they push the two cops out of the car and they have a car chase and they start shooting at each other. And Damon Wayans Jr. shoots and kills one of the Super Troopers.
Yeah, he just
shoots Mac right in the chest.
And then they throw his corpse on the car.
Throw his body on the car.
And that was that moment that I was like, okay, this isn't the movie yet. Oh, we haven't actually gotten into the movie. Like that was that. Like, I was really hoping. Part of me was hoping that they would just kill off that character.
Yeah, he would just be dead because it's like a Smokey and the Bandit moment right up until he gets shot in the chest. Oh my God!
And of course, it turns out to just be a dream.
Right, it's a dream.
Which I loved the almost punchline where he like specifically calls out that he was dreaming about
Stifler and Damon
Wayans Jr. Because at first I was like, oh, that's kind of fun cameos.
Fun little cameos, yeah. And then he's like, oh, I had a weird dream. Okay, who are the cops this time? Oh, it was Stifler and Damon Wayans
Jr. Did you make them kiss? Because there's a part where they try to make them kiss.
Yeah, they try to make them kiss.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. That's how the movie opens.
This is a dumb movie.
It's very dumb. Yeah. It's just a... most of the movie is a prank war between them and the Mounties.
Right.
Like
played by the only one I recognized was Will Sasso.
He's the one I didn't recognize.
Oh, really?
Yeah, until the
end
of the film.
He's from Mad TV.
No, I know who he is. I just didn't. It never clicked that was Will Sasso until the end of the movie. Yeah. But Tyler Labine, I know from Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and
okay.
He's on what is it called? He's on some Hulu show, Deadbeat or something. I think.
Yeah. There's some decent cameos. I kind of wanted to see...
Yeah, Linda Carter.
Yeah, Linda Carter. That was fucking weird.
Yeah.
The one that, of course, they had what's his name? The meow pulling over.
Jim Gaffigan.
Jim Gaffigan. Again, one of the people they pulled over I noticed was the guy from American Vandal, the Netflix show.
Yes, yeah.
He's the kid accused of drawing all the dicks. It was nice to see him in something.
Yeah, I knew I recognized him.
Yeah.
So thanks for saying that.
Yeah, I mean,
the plot wise, they've been fired, of course, for an infamous incident involving Fred Savage, which you finally get to see during the end credits.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
But they've all been fired. But
they revealed throughout that they murdered Fred Savage.
Right.
Like, the Fred Savage in this universe has died.
Right, he is dead.
And it is their fault.
Yeah.
Which is lovely.
They get rehired to be a temporary police force in this part of Canada that's actually, it turns out, really part of Vermont still.
Right, which was a fun plot device, I thought.
Yeah.
It was,
and Rob Lowe turning in a solid performance as the mayor.
Who owns a bordello.
Yeah.
That has both men and female prostitutes, which they go out of their way. They keep saying, like, male and female prostitutes.
I think it was their way to try to, like, make it seem less...
That's what I liked, because they keep pointing it out, and it feels like in production someone was like, you can't just have female prostitutes.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, male and female prostitutes. And then they have like a solid dick slapping scene.
Oh, yeah. Just Rob Lowe tugging on some dude's dick.
Yeah. It was pretty great. It was pretty good. Like, a lot of, and this, I feel like Super Troopers is the same, where it reminds me a lot of like 70s and 80s comedy, where like there'd be gratuitous nudity and like, you know, the stoner losers, like Stripes or something like that. Like that's not really a genre we have as much anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I got out of this.
I mean, there was a lot of it's just a lot of scenes with good comedic actors doing pretty fun bits.
Yeah, mostly not completely, but mostly physical humor, which
a lot of it, but not all.
Which
of it.
they pull off. Yeah, not all of it, but like what's his name? The guy who plays Farvo. When they just allow him to sort of talk, he's great.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's such a piece of shit. He's
and
so great at it.
Feels a lot like ad libs. Like
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it feels like they just get that actor to just sort of.
You see in the end credits, they do different versions of the lines.
Right, yeah.
When they walk into the mall and Tyler Bean has that long, drawn-out thing about, and first you come into our country and now you're sitting in a massage chair in the middle of our mall stealing our women, eh? But it's like this long-winded thing. And then the bit where he's like, I would rather fuck a moose. You'd need to get a ladder. Of course, I know I would need to get a ladder, but I would get that ladder, and I'd rather fuck that moose. I would use that ladder to fuck that moose.
Man, I'm trying to think of... I haven't seen a comedy lately.
No, it's been a while.
It's been a while. I'm trying to think of the last comedy I saw. Because comedy has been kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Like, there was the... There's not much... I mean, you could say Baby Driver is kind of a comedy.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright didn't really do much of comedy there. And I feel like we're in a bad place comedy-wise right now.
Well, it's like it gets rolled into other things. Like
Yeah.
I would say the last new comedy I watched was probably Jumanji.
Right, yeah.
But that's like an adventure. That's a comedic adventure. but
Right, and it's still
mostly
sort
an
of...
adventure movie.
It has to be safe in terms of comedy.
Right.
It's just been a while. I remember when the first Super Troopers came out. It was Super Troopers... I know in the same... It was Super Troopers and Undercover Brother in the same month it came out, and I was delighted by that month.
Those are two great movies.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just like I'm old and not seeking out new comedies, but like
I mean, there's been comedies.
Yeah, there's the cock blocker one,
Yeah, Blockers.
and a lot of them
But
just
like
don't
this
really
year, you
appeal
mean?
to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah,
none
I'm
that
trying to
just
think of the last one that even... I mean, we have two this weekend. We have Super Troopers 2 and I Feel Pretty with Amy Schumer.
right.
Which I'm not really going to comment directly on it, but I did read someone on Twitter, I think it was Cher Martinetti, said like I saw the trailer for that movie and it was the loudest collective groan I've ever heard an audience give out.
Because that genre, that entire the Paul Feig that comes from the Judd Apatow stuff, like it's just run its course.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's weird that Super Troopers, it felt like older comedy, but it felt refreshing to watch.
It was tighter. It was tighter.
Yeah.
Like the ad libs that they do in the film are still on character and like, contained within the scene.
Yeah, they're variations of the lines.
Right. Whereas Judd Apatow tends to, first of all, make 2-hour comedies,
Right.
which is too long. And then, I mean, ad-libbing is fun, but it just becomes, I feel like the Apatow school of comedy is just to say the craziest thing you can think of. And it's like, doesn't have anything to, completely against character. It doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the scene right now.
Yeah, and it's literally everybody. That was the was the big issue I had with Ghostbusters, because I don't watch a lot of newer comedies, and the new Ghostbusters, everybody had a bit, like every single character, like you'd run into like the mayor would have a bit, and then some random person would have a bit, and it was like, wow, everybody in this universe is a fucking stand-up comedian apparently. And you need like contrast, and again, this movie had that because that's like the core bit of Super Troopers is they pull someone over, and they're the straight man,
weird,
the person and they're the fucking weirdos, and even Brian Cox, like who gets funny,
he gets a couple of jokes, but he's still.
But they try to keep him as like it's like you're laughing more at him, like he's a serious person.
The donkey thing. That guy called you an old donkey. Didn't that piss you off? He's like, I didn't love it. Actually, I didn't get much sleep last night.
That was so good. Brian Cox needs to do more comedy.
And he was so mad when they showed up late.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are an hour late. I'm singing now. Like he was singing karaoke.
And then he finishes the
He
song.
finishes his song.
Oh, so
Oh,
good.
shit. Yeah, and they got Brian Cox on one of the pullover pranks too.
Oh yeah, they did.
Pretending to be deaf.
Oh right. That sequence, that was probably my least favorite sequence. That was the sequence.
It was more like a nod to the first movie because it's only maybe 5 minutes long.
Yeah, none of the jokes hit with me.
The fake French scene was funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, the part where he's like, where he's going off, like he does a long spiel of French words, and that, like, I recognize just the talent in doing that. Like it felt, and he has like a smirk on his face while he does it because you can sort of tell, like, okay, they never did a take of this where they weren't smiling.
Yeah. There's never a take where he's not enjoying himself. They show a little of that in the trailer. Like, something we should point out is the trailer for this film is very bad.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't actually.
It's a bad trailer. But that's kind of it was the same with Super Troopers for me anyway. Like, I remember the original. I saw the trailer and was like, this movie looks dumb because like all the jokes that they put in the trailer were bad, and it was like it was the same thing with this movie where they would put like in the trailer makes it seem, and I get it because it's an R-rated comedy and you can't put really the best jokes in a trailer for that.
And often in comedies, like, jokes will be callbacks and like longer, like you can't really have a joke that lasts 3 scenes in the trailer.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of the trailer is like setups for the jokes.
Right. Yeah.
Because like a big part of the trailer was the guy telling Farva he could get a liter of cola, and then him like poking Thorne.
Oh yeah, I like
and
this place.
That's like the beginning of the joke.
Yeah. The joke.
Like the joke is that whole scene.
Yeah, or he gets 10 liters of cola
10 so
and then sits there and drinks them.
He drinks all of them so he can get a free dessert
that he doesn't actually get.
When I'm looking at him through the heat vision goggles while he's peeing.
Oh yeah.
At the same time.
That was such a childish thing that made me laugh.
Good.
Yeah,
it was so good.
There's a lot of fucking childish shit that made me laugh in this.
It's so.
Anytime there's a bear in a movie. Bears are the funniest fucking animals.
They really are, yeah.
Because the
bear sequence was pretty solid.
Yeah, they're the right combination of like they sound dumb, they look cute, but they lumber, and they can murder you.
Oh yeah,
and they're extremely dangerous. So it's this like amazing combination of details that make them the most hilarious animal to me.
It was a solid. God, the guy at this farm is so good.
Yeah.
When they have to go lure the bear out of the station, the Mounties put a live bear into their police station because they're having a feud with the Mounties. And Thorne, who's Jay Chandreskar, is like, okay, I'll go out there and distract.
He directed it, right?
Yeah. I think he directs all of them.
Most of them. I think
he's directed a bunch of episodes of Arrested Development too.
Oh, cool.
And he's done like he did Dukes of Hazzard.
Right. Forgot that movie existed.
Yeah. It's okay. It was fine.
I never saw it.
It was fine.
I'm sure it was.
They do a cameo. Him and Rabbit do a cameo as campus cops in Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so he's like, okay, I'm going to go out there and distract the bear so you guys can get to the tear gas and gas the bear. And then Farva's just like, I'll go. And they're like, really? He's like, yeah, what's the worst that can happen? And that's like the funniest thing to say.
And the answer is like, you get mauled by a bear.
Yeah, you get mauled by a bear. Like,
oh, yeah, that was great.
Oh,
and then what does he do? He picks up the meat and he says something like, fuck you, bear.
Yeah, fuck you, bear. And the bear turns around immediately. It's just, it's really tight. I get
humor-wise, it is.
Yeah, I get the plot. It's kind of all over the place, and there's no real.
But they've always been this way, where their humor is it's very precise. It's very Again, it's hard to say this because comedies all used to be like, written in advance, and it feels like now that we've gone away from that, it's like nice to see a movie where it's like, oh yeah, they wrote the joke first and they executed it.
Yeah, now they're doing variations on it. But
and like there's set pieces where it's like, okay, this relies, the bear, it's a dumb joke again, but he gets into the porta potty and the bear knocks it over.
Bear knocks it over, yeah.
And
he stands up and makes a lot of bear puns.
Yeah, oh yeah.
God.
But that was, again, like they had to get all that shit together. They committed to that joke.
Yeah.
And then the bear puns was like, okay, we know when to sort of have, some ad-libbing. I just like, it's really people don't do slapstick really anymore, do they?
No, and there's a good. I mean, they do, but it's usually falling down.
Right. Yeah.
But there's a rhythm to a lot of it in this film, where it's like when they hook up the microphone, the radio in the station, so that it electrocutes Farber every time he grabs it. So it happens once where he's not expecting it. It happens again when he's like scared of it, and then the third time he's just wearing an oven mitt. And
right.
So there was like an escalation
yeah, and then
to it.
That still had a punchline where he reaches into his locker and gets electrocuted.
Right, they bring it back later. Oh my God.
And of course when he fucking gets in the car, and okay, a lot of it. This is the thing what makes slapstick so good. This is what made like the Naked Gun so good. Is I could describe a joke in the Naked Gun, but you have to see Leslie Nielsen's face
when he's selling it.
Yeah, like that's the point. And this is one where like the fall that happens when he shoves him, I can't describe. It's just
this
so
whole
good.
scene. Every now and then a joke will catch me when I'm watching a movie, and sometimes it's not a joke. Sometimes it's just something dumb that happens in the movie, and I can't let it go. But I will continue laughing almost until the end of the scene. And it happened in this movie when it's Farva and I think Mac it's them. They're together, and this they're standing outside. It's a fucking perfect scene.
He goes to take a leak, and Farva just stands in front
follows
of
him outside. It's just like, yeah, we're taking a leak, aren't we? Well, why aren't you? Well, then pee then. It's like, well, I don't have to go. Just sitting there, God damn it, that guy's a genius.
Yeah.
And then the car goes speeding by them, and he's like, "Oh shit, we gotta pull that guy over!" And they're running back to the car, and he just shoves Mac over, but he like in such an awkward way, he like bounces
off the car,
the back end of the car. It's just like this terrible bounce, and he jumps in the car and takes off, and immediately crashes into a light pole. And then Mac comes up to the side of the car, and he's just slumped over in the seat, and the airbag has been deployed.
And he popped the airbag.
And he's dead.
It's such a...
And so he has to pull him out and do mouth-to-mouth, but like
he's fucking dead.
He's dead.
Yeah, it's one like quick sequence of slapstick where it's like when the car speeds by, and then within like 30 seconds, he's dead.
Yeah, it's just... the escalation of it, and you just have to, because he walks over to Matt gets over to the car, and he's just slumped over, and the airbag's been deployed. There's something about that image that fucking destroyed me.
Yeah.
Just how immediately it went wrong, and it went like complete, like he fucking died. Like he has to resuscitate him. He's just like fucking dead in the seat. It's not clear what happened.
I really liked. They did that in Beer Fest where they killed the characters well. They kill a few in Beer Fest, and like I like that they're not like afraid to just murder someone. At the beginning of this one where he gets shot,
shoot Mac,
like the escalation,
his dead body in the tree. He's like, look at him, he's still cool. He's like giving it thumbs up with his legs crossed.
Oh man,
oh fuck this movie.
What a dumb movie.
It's so funny though. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. They escalated the drug taking. They because in the first one they find a bunch of weed. It's about weed, which I think they realized was a bit dated now.
That's right. Man, I haven't watched that movie in a while.
Yeah, it's insane that the drug is just a lot of weed.
It's like the chimp, right?
Yeah.
It's Afghanistan-imation, Cap.
Yeah. And they get really high. In this one, it's guns and counterfeit cell phones and pharmaceuticals. Yeah. And they have the bit where they're like, we'll send it to the lab, and instead they
just each take
one.
And that's a fun bit.
Yeah, it was a fun bit. It made Farva becomes fucking paralyzed.
Yeah.
And then one of them's on steroids, and one's on like the Canadian female hormones.
Yeah, yeah.
What were they called?
Flovascotia. Flovascotia.
There was that was a decent
and then
bit.
One of them's on LSD. It was a good bit because they all take one, and you're watching the scene as they're trying to figure out what each drug is just by looking at the person's behavior. It's really good. Oh man. I mean, Rob Lowe telling the story of his nickname.
Oh yeah, the explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that was a non-physical humor part that was really funny.
It was just this long-winded, horrible story, but it was about. He's like, oh yeah, I got. He's the mayor of the town that they're in, who also turns out to be the secret villain. He's the one doing all the smuggling, but he's a former minor league hockey player, and his nickname is the something explosion. It's like, yeah, I'm actually the second most famous explosion from the series. And he tells the story of the first one. And it's like this awful thing, like blinding women and children.
Yeah, burning their eyes.
Everybody was like burned. But he tells it like completely straight. And he's like, so yeah, I'm the second most famous explosion.
He was good in it. Yeah. I did wish, this is weird because Brian Cox I mean, it's the same with the first one. He shouldn't, he has no business being in these movies, and it's wonderful that
they always get one actor that's that.
Bill Paxton,
Donald Sutherland.
Yeah. And then, I think Cloris Leachman?
Yeah, she's in one of them.
I think she's in Beer Fest, and then, of course, they got Michael Clark Duncan.
For Slam and Salmon. And also a solid Will Forte.
Yeah, and Lance Hendrickson,
that's right. Oh, and it's the actress Morgan Fairchild,
right? And so I like all the people who are in this, but I wanted more cameos. I wanted it's Super Troopers 2, so I expected they'd get a little more cameos. Like all the cameos they had were good. Rob Lowe was good.
Rob Lowe was more
Linda Carter was
more
good.
Than a cameo, but
they're both. Like Fred Savage was kind of perfect.
Yeah,
but it felt like the people they pulled over, I was expecting a little more there, and there wasn't much.
That's true.
There wasn't much of the pulling over stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, I think they just didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't.
Movie.
Glad they didn't bring back the stoners. I'm glad that was one of the things is they had a few callbacks here and there, but they didn't do it so extreme where it felt like they had run out of jokes, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't Austin Powers 2, where it's like, hey, remember this joke we did? And then this one? And then this one?
I watched that recently. It is kind of excruciating.
Yeah, comedies are generally bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always maintained that the worst kind of bad movie is a bad comedy.
Yeah, because, you're not laughing at someone and you feel uncomfortable because it's people doing really zany shit, often people who are credible actors, watching any fucking Al Pacino and Jack and Jill, stuff like that where it's like, oh my god, this is awful. And they really have to put themselves out there. They really have to trust the fact that what they're doing is going to be funny.
Yeah,
which is why I think Broken Lizard, it's a shame that they're not more well known because they're a comedy troupe. They know each other and they know what they're capable of and they know what's funny because I assume they have a relationship outside of these movies. How would you rate these? How would you put Super Troopers 2 in the Broken Lizard films?
I would put it below maybe the first Super Troopers. I'd have to watch it again.
Yeah.
But I think it's every bit as funny as Slam and Salmon was.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think I like this one more because it's more the core guys. They kind of play supporting roles in Slam and Salmon.
Yeah, they do.
It's mostly about Colby Smulders from How I Met Your Mother and the Marvel films,
right?
And Michael Clark Duncan, and most of the wait staff, most of the characters in that movie are actors that they hired. It's not them. It's
weird because they have a great dynamic there. Mm-hmm. They have the staff, and then they have the customers, and they could do a lot there. And maybe at that point, they felt like they weren't enough to support.
I think they were trying to sell the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
This one is, again, they funded it. I don't know if entirely, but definitely partially through Indiegogo.
Yeah, I think partially.
And it was definitely, this movie was about them as a group of comedians.
Yeah, I think this was them saying well, fuck, no one's no one's giving us money anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just fucking make another Super Troopers and let's make it the way we want to.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that fucking scene, the car crash, I had tears in my eyes.
That was great.
Literal tears.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the ending. Most of the reviews have pointed this out. It drags at the end. The ending action sequence. They've had 2 movies with like action endings. 3, sorry, I'm counting this. Club Dread was 1, Super Troopers 1, and Super Troopers 2. And I feel like the first Super Troopers was the only movie that really had fun with that. Isn't that when they're all drunk and they just like roll up on the other cops?
Yeah, I think so.
And like have a brawl. And I remember having a lot of fun. I didn't find this fight. It was just a shootout.
Yeah, it was a pretty... Yeah, there's not really a great moment in it.
Same with Club Dread, although Club Dread did have when they cut the guy in half, that was pretty
They had fun with that, which is a joke from Cannibal the Musical, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when he can't die.
You can't kill that guy. He keeps coming back to life.
Cannibal, I feel like, did it better.
Yeah, they did. But yeah, no, the act, it's short. I mean, it's only a few minutes.
Yeah, I feel like they had an opportunity there, and they didn't do anything with it. They just had the guy tied to the saw, which was like such a weird, it was like a Bond thing.
Right, but you
like
knew
a
it was
ticking clock.
Happen.
Yeah.
When it's at the showdowns at a sawmill, like, oh, he's going to be tied to a log.
Yeah.
It's the Snidely Whiplash, this shit.
I liked the recurring joke of the bet where Farmer makes the bet that no one else is involved in.
Yeah.
With who? It's Rabbit?
It's with Rabbit, yeah.
That like about this lady who Farmer thinks is totally into him, who clearly isn't. Yeah. Being like, yeah, if I sleep with her first, you have to cut off your fucking pinky toe with a shovel.
And then make it into a shake.
And like, no,
drink it.
I loved that. Worked so well because no one was like pushing it. But
no,
him.
It was just him. Yeah.
And then at the end, he loses the bet, so he immediately
chops his toe off with his shovel.
Oh
my god.
Yeah, that really worked for me, mostly because he was just the one driving it, and he was getting nothing out of it.
He was the one raising the stakes, like, constantly.
That was really fun.
God, and that guy's a goddamn genius.
He's great. Have you watched... I think we were talking about this at some point, the outtakes for the first Super Troopers where he's making himself vomit to do that sequence where he's throwing up.
Yeah. He's
very committed.
Yeah, he's a genius. It shows.
Yeah.
He plays like a truther in Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh my god!
There's a good bit where he's like running around with like a tinfoil armadillo on his head. It's pretty funny.
I liked what they did with him in Club Dread. How he's the hero.
He's a complete opposite character of Farva,
And he's sort of in between in Beer Fest. What did he do in Slam & Salmon? Oh, he's the hero in that.
He's kind of the sort of.
Yeah, he's
the manager who has to like stand up to.
Yeah, he's like a pushover.
Yeah.
I mean, that was maybe that's
so good when it flashes back to because he's married to Michael Clarke Duncan's sister, and that
right, yeah.
It's like, and I'm introducing my new brother-in-law, whatever his name is, or as I like to call him, Cunty McTwat, and it's silent, and then he's like, "How come nobody's laughing?" It's like, "Why aren't you all laughing?"
Michael Clarke Duncan is great in that.
Fucking amazing in that movie. God damn it.
Maybe this is the problem. I really liked that when every new movie they try to switch up their characters.
Yeah, and
and maybe like America doesn't like that. Like the Farva type character.
Well, it kind
was such a strong character,
right? Because the rest of them kind of don't have characters,
right?
Like they're all very much the same, except for Farva,
right?
In the other movies, they start to go more.
Yeah, they all kind of take turns being wacky and crazy,
right? Or having like a weird, like Jason Driscar in Slam & Salmon plays nuts. And remember, he doesn't take his medicine.
Oh my god, yeah.
He's like this
it's just
rigid,
him doing a whole bit there.
Yeah, it's a really broad character.
Him in Beer Fest 2 is like that.
What a collection of films.
Yeah, what a strange collection of movies these guys have done.
Yeah, but
and I feel like a lot of people listening are probably like, Jesus Christ, these people enjoy those dumb Broken Lizard films. Huh?
Maybe, I don't know. I appreciate that they tried.
Most people like Super Troopers, right?
I think so.
It's again, it's very specific dumb type of humor.
Yeah,
and I keep saying dumb, and I think it's because it's dumb. It's like childish. It's not dumb as if in the sense that it's badly done or anything.
It's
talented.
Yeah,
it's
just very well executed. But they are dumb jokes.
Yeah.
But
they're dick and fart jokes.
Yeah. And then like puns and like
a lot of puns.
Like slapstick, but it's all done really well.
Yeah. I could do probably without 70% of the puns. I don't need as much puns as they like. Mm-hmm. But again, other people might like the puns.
Yeah. That's the only way you can deliver a pun is by sliding it in there and then smiling like, yeah, I know what I did. Because you're never going to get a big laugh for a pun. It's just
I know
flavor.
What I'm doing. It's just it's additional seasoning.
Yeah, it's seasoning. I don't really have much else to say outside of us just spoiling all the jokes in the movie.
Yeah, really, of us just talking about how much we enjoyed this stupid movie.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't think it'll do well.
I don't think. No, it's not. This is a bad weekend, by the way. We're pretty sure because it's just the two biggest movies coming out are comedies, and one of them is one I happen to like. But again, I wouldn't blame anybody for not liking this style. And so, if you don't like the style, you're continuing to be in probably the wasteland of comedy right now.
Yeah,
man,
Hangover 3 territory.
Yeah, God damn! Like I'm really like struggling to remember another comedy I liked recently. Maybe that's because I just don't see them anymore because I have no faith in them. Like contrast is the word I always kind of go to with modern movies now, where like there needs to be like when you do an action movie,
right? We need to know
what makes it an action movie is the contrast between okay, here's the regular world and here's this extraordinary thing that happens.
Yeah, we need to be able to see that it's still taking place in a real. And I think they do that because there's consequences to the things that they do. You still have characters that are mostly straight, and then also like the police work we see them doing is very boring. It's like changing a street sign and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's enough to keep it there that I was like I accepted that. Yeah. Okay,
they do a good job at that. And I feel like a lot of their movies they do a decent job at that. I really liked that was one of the things that appealed to me of Slam & Salmon because I had worked in a restaurant for years.
Oh yeah,
it was an upscale restaurant I worked at, and clearly one of them has worked at a restaurant.
Yeah,
because the things they were doing was like, oh
yeah, cook's alwa's a maniac asshole.
Yeah, the send backing stuff where people are trying to eat the food.
The send backs. Man. Yeah, there's just I don't know what else to say.
I don't know, man. It's hard because we like the movie, but it's a dumb movie, so I'm not sitting here thinking about the cinematography.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here thinking about what the story meant. It kind of achieved exactly what I needed it to, which is not making me think much about it.
Right.
Like this is just a dumb comedy.
Yeah.
Did you feel was any of the humor out of touch? The stuff where he's taking the female hormones. They sort of pushed that a little where it felt like a little not dated. The part where he can't drive, which they didn't it felt like they didn't execute that well enough for it to be like
yeah, like I thought
there was the stuff where it was like it felt like that character they didn't give him enough to do. He just had taken the female hormone drug. And then all the jokes were like, yeah, he's turning into a woman. And
right,
women act
and there's
this
not
certain
like
way.
He just explains one time that the reason he keeps taking it is because it gives him great orgasms.
Yeah, which I liked that he was just like, yeah, I love his shit. Like,
yeah.
But that was that stuff didn't really work with me. I'm trying to think of what jokes didn't work.
I think that was probably the lamest.
Yeah,
it was just. I mean, yeah, it was a weird.
Generally speaking, though, like,
I mean, not all the bits involved with it didn't land with me. It's just conceptually, yeah. Like, and I mentioned earlier, I think that's probably the movie's biggest flaw is that none of the guys really have a character except for Farva.
Yeah,
they're all the same.
Well, what's that character's name?
Which one?
The one who takes the pills.
Thorne.
He is the most distinct character to me, and especially in the first one.
In the first one, he is. Yeah.
Where he pulls over that fucking crazy German couple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeps them.
Yeah.
Who wants a mustache ride? Like that was that. Yeah. Okay. That feels like it was kind of missing from this movie is that flavoring their backgrounds. Like they all sort of had lives in the first movie.
Right. Like, I'm trying to... Like, Rabbit was the new guy.
Yeah.
Mac was crazy.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what...
Farva was an idiot.
Farva's the same.
Thorne was like...
Thorne was kind of almost the straight man. Except he was
like over
pretty,
the top, and
right.
then he just loved to fuck.
Yeah.
As it became clear. Who else? And then
Foster,
there was
Paul
he
Slater.
gets the love story in the first one, right?
That's right. With the
and like they didn't. I get why they wouldn't do the same love story stuff, but the first one, the love story had some genuinely fun moments where he's doing the flasher outside, like a maniac, which and then she pulls the gun out at him and like I guess that's the thing is this had a lot of humor. But I would say it was missing a little bit of heart, a little bit of like endearing character stuff.
Right. It seemed weird that they would all come back to do these characters again, and then there's just not much to the characters.
Yeah, there's not much closure. There's not much like, they don't really get any arcs or anything in there. That's kind of a shame. That feels like a missed opportunity. Like the humor was there, but it feels like the story took a back seat.
Their character arcs definitely did.
Yeah. I'd say the whole story, I wonder if they needed a more personal story or something, like something where they have to save the captain or like something that's like a little more about them.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done better there. I mean, I still really enjoyed it, but it's been how many years? 17, I want to say.
Yeah, it's
That's
weird to have
insane.
an ensemble cast in a comedy and the characters are all fundamentally the same.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that problem in like Ghostbusters or like Stripes. Like,
more so that they were in the first one. Like they're even more the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all just sort of do their own bits, but they're all kind of interchangeable bits.
Right, because they're all of similar comedic minds.
Right.
So, yeah, it was really strange. It's really just Farva who is the only one who gets a distinct character.
And he doesn't even get an arc or anything.
He doesn't get an arc, but he's,
he
what
meets
that
Canadian
character
Farva.
is. He does meet Canadian Farva, who's the guy from I, Tonya.
Is it?
He delightfully plays, I forget the guy's name, but he plays a fucking great fuck up in I, Tonya. He's so good in it.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah. Canadian Farva was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have much of an arc, but his character is distinct. Like you know what he's gonna, basically how he's gonna respond to the situation.
But yeah, it really does feel like they were all like I'm thinking of scenes in the original Super Troopers now where like they go to talk about the cops and she tells them to dress like a biker and she dresses like a leather jacket biker and he dresses like a fucking
Like a cyclist. Yeah.
There were fun jokes like that like also served the plot, and like there was very little of that. There was one scene I want to say when they're at the mall and they're sitting on the chairs and she's talking to him about Farva and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where it's her and Rabbit, and he says something that's like sort of like a human. Like, but generally speaking, they were all kind of everything that came out of their mouth was a joke.
Yeah.
And they could have had a little more human moments.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say there was contrast in terms of them versus the world, but their characters are no longer like they weren't realistic characters in the first one.
No.
But they're really far gone at this point.
Yeah. Which...
They're like insane people.
Right.
Which is okay, but it like, again, I laughed a lot, but yeah, I would have liked to see a little more character stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of the world wasn't insane with them, though, so that's good.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, that helps. Oh, for sure. Okay, cool.
All right.
Do you have any other final thoughts?
No.
No, neither do I. I would say see this. I mean, the people who are going to like this movie already know they're going to like it.
Right.
They're the people who liked Super Troopers.
Right. If you liked any of their movies, you'll like this one.
Get high. Or don't.
You don't need to.
You don't need to.
I watched this movie sober with a bucket of popcorn.
Yeah.